Hi, everybody. Welcome back. Thanks for joining us today. Today, I'm joined by James Fleming, who is the Managing Director of The Power Within, which is a training group specializing in business development, working all around the UK, especially with small businesses, especially in the construction sector. Hi, James. Thanks so much for joining us.
Hi, how are you doing, Kathleen? Nice to see you
Yeah,
again.
really well. Thanks. Thank you so much for this. I know that your work is around leadership and mindset and really inspiring businesses to reach their full potential. If I start with a very, very broad question, what would you say are some of the issues that are perhaps holding back small businesses in construction that they could be working on?
Okay, so I'm going to talk construction specific, but this does refer to a lot of small businesses out there. So the three key problems that I hear on a daily basis, and we speak to small and micro construction companies literally on a daily basis, is time, money, and people.
Yeah, please.
So those are the three biggest issues. And by the way, all of them revert back to people. If there's a problem, we are the problem. So that would be the three biggest issues that I hear or a version of them, Catherine, or a version of them.
And where would you say if someone came to you and said, those are the three issues that I'm facing, or some variation of them, what would be your first sort of advice to them? How would they start dealing with a problem that feels that big?
Okay, so the start point for everything is all for me personally when we teach and we try to grow and develop our businesses. Where do they want to take the business? You know, if they're let's say a sole trader who's just looking forward to do that, then we would say the first thing I would say, if it was like a small business they're not really looking to grow and develop into anything big, they just want to stay small. I would really be looking at what is it they do really, really well. Don't try and be everything to everyone. You know, find your kind of niche or your lane. Be really good at it. You know, because you can get paid a lot more being a specialist than being a generalist. So that's kind of one of the things we always try to ascertain right from the very word go, Catherine, is what is the vision? And I know that's a little bit corny, right? But what is the vision? What's the end goal? You know, what is your exit strategy? What does that look like? Because for me, I suppose if you imagine building a house, right? Let's stick with the basics. So if you drove, let's say, Catherine, you're a property developer, and you drove by a piece of land and you see a sign outside, a farmer selling a piece of land. And this is kind of what small businesses or micro businesses do. So they see the piece of land, they see the sign, they decide that they're going to go and build a house, i.e. start a business, and they jump in straight away and they start putting the founds in. Now, we know that that's not how you build a house, because you've got to get drawings and land registries and testing the ground and all of these other things, which we call the fundamentals. So you've got to get the fundamentals of that business first and foremost. Vision, values, what do you stand for, where are you trying to go, what does that look like? So that's the fundamentals. And then, again, stick with the house scenario. Then you get the ground, so you've got all the drawings done, you've got everything approved. Then you're out to tender and you're getting the groundworks done. So someone comes in, does all the groundworks, puts in really strong foundations, uses the right concrete and the rebar, the really strong foundations, and that's the foundations of the business, i.e. the mindset, time management, or we call it self-management, and that handles the time part. So what do we do really well? What do we not do so well? You know, kind of what can we do better? So that's what we call the foundations. Now, if we get those first two parts correct, the building of the house becomes pretty simple. And that is the people. Being able to hire the right people, identifying the right people, you know, planning to bring on what type of apprentices you want to do, because you know where you want to go. You know what that lane looks like. So you've kind of done all the hard work. I don't know if I answered your question, but that's what I would always advise is, what does that look like to you? Because honestly, I would say 95 to 97% of every single client we have on our books have absolutely no idea what that looks like. And it is amazing feeling for me and my trainers, because when we see the penny drop, and you see almost it's like a light in the back of their eyes, letting them go, do you know, I never thought about it like that. And that's an amazing feeling.
To your point there, I think that idea of setting those foundations, that sort of mindset approach of what does the vision look like, what does the goal look. If you're qualified in a construction trade, you just want to do that thing and do it well and sell it, and it feels almost a little bit sort of woo woo, or certainly a bit woo adjacent, to be thinking about what do I want to do when I retire, and what's the overall purpose of the business. But absolutely, it sounds like that's something that really makes a fundamental difference for your clients.
Yeah. So let's stick with the woo woo. By the way, I say woo woo as well, so don't worry about that. So let's stick with the woo woo side of it. So when we do talk about mindset, we as you can see above me here, motivational intelligence. So what is it that motivates us to do things that we do or act the way we act? The woo woo side of things. Now, there's a famous saying: if you think you can, or think you can't, you're right. That's the power of understanding that vision and having the right mindset. Because remember, most of these people are what we call tradesmen, right? Or tradespeople. They do what they do really, really well. Yep, they're really, really good joiners, they're really, really good electricians, or they're really, really good bricklayers, or they're really, really good builders. But they have no idea how to run a business, because they're two completely different skill sets. They have no idea. Now think about historically within the construction. My background is construction. We are taught a different set of rules. Yeah? Do as I say, not as I do. Just get it done. So we almost back orders. Now that doesn't wash with these youngsters coming in, and it's not how we communicate with people. It's not how these youngsters are ever going to allow it. And when I say youngsters, I mean almost any age nowadays. We have a different set of what a career looks like. What an employer should look like, act like, and feel like. And so these are the key fundamentals, and that's when we talk about the woo-woo. It's really important we get the woo-woo right. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely. Taking the sort of recruitment side of things and bringing in people, obviously for businesses that have plans to ever scale, or even just to deliver bigger projects. Certainly, I know some of the people watching some of these videos are looking at maybe starting to bid and tender for work, and that will mean that they have to bring in staff. Do you see an issue with the way perhaps that we treat people in the industry? Perhaps some of that sort of mindset and the way that makes jobs quite insecure in the industry?
Absolutely, and it's a 360-degree scenario, because again, if you go back to what we talked about slightly at the start, when we try to grow, most people are terrified to hire, right? Because it's a commitment. I've never done it, don't know how I've done it, or I've done it before, I didn't get the work to maintain it, I had to let them go. We've always got this narrative that we play about why hiring someone's not a great idea, and we use subcontractors because we were a subcontractor when we first started out. So we think that's the simple, easy way to do it. Now, and I know, within the construction industry, particularly now more than ever, people will leave for an extra 50 pence an hour. It's such a dynamic turnover type of business, and employers treat subcontractors the same way because there is no loyalty. So what we actually teach a part of that. So one of our modules is about high performing teams, and it's how to hire subcontractors, how to hire employees, how to hire apprentices. At least when I buy, anything, let's think of anything. So forget about people. Let's just think about anything. We generally buy based on value. We think we want to buy on price, right? We think we do, but we always buy based on value. Yeah. If someone can show something is really more valuable, you know, in an emotional level, we tend to go with it. Like, for example, the last time you went to buy a bag or a pair of shoes, you end up spending more than you ever thought you were going to. So it's a very similar scenario. So we need to know, particularly around recruitment and hiring, you know, we need to make sure that we show these employees the value of working with us, but then live by it. You know, don't be something and then do something else. You know, we have to, I believe, the future of the construction industry to really be, you know, that incredible, great industry. We need to change the way that we think now. We need to change the way we talk to people on site. You know, live by our values, be open and honest. I know this all sounds, again, probably a little bit woo-woo, but, and it is, because if you think about historically, the way that the construction industry kind of almost operates, that we have to change that way of thinking, the way we treat, the way we talk, live by our values. Humans love to be inclusive. We love to feel like we're doing a good job. We love to be told that we're doing a good job. Don't just tell us when things are going wrong, Catherine. I want to know when things are going really well as well. Do you know what I mean? I don't know if I answered your question, but that's the things that really drive value, in my opinion, of any great business.
Well, I think, and as people watching this, I'm sure, you know, they'll add their comments and their thoughts, but I think that probably addresses a lot of concerns that people have in why they would need to do this, why it really matters, and actually how being good at business helps you get better at business, because you can then bring in the right people instead of just any old people. I mean, I rant about this, is my soapbox all the time, but the built environment is so important. It affects all of us every single minute of our lives. And an industry that makes space for cowboys who rip people off and do terrible things, stop it. Stop making space for those people. Let's hold ourselves to a higher standard. And that all comes down to how we talk about ourselves and how we treat ourselves and each other. I know, you know, a lot of people watching this will be thinking about that sustainability side of the finances, the consistency. It's a very cyclical industry, and the whole boom bust thing happens with alarming regularity. For people who really want to build something that's got longevity, that's got really strong foundations, would you have some advice on what kind of mindset, what kind of approach actually makes something much more stronger than that?
Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to give you another kind of story type of thing, or metaphor. So if you think of your business as a beating heart, yeah. So the business is the heart. Now, a heart only has a few, we'll call it, I'm going to say inputs, but that's the wrong word that I'm thinking of. No, veins, arteries, yeah, that feed the heart. And a business should be the same. You should have 2 or 3 things that you do really, really well. And it kind of goes back to what I mentioned earlier, you know, that keeps the beating heart of the business going. What are you known really well for? What is it people within your industry look up to you for? You know, what are you known really well for? What do you do really well? And I would say stick to those type of things. Yep. And then, because the growth, that what happens is, and probably the same reason that people get into business, is they get offered an opportunity, yeah, to go self-employed. That's kind of how it happens. And then they kind of grow and develop and get a little bit bigger. And I think that's why it collapses so easily, because they haven't properly planned and prepared for the growth. Yep. And it's a historical fact that financial constraints are the cause of why businesses fail. But if you actually delve a little bit deeper, it's poor planning, it's the wrong mindset, it's taking on, doing it all at the last minute, so you're having to take on people who are way more expensive than you planned for. So there's lots of little things, and in my opinion, again, working with hundreds of companies, that really, really matter when you're trying to grow and develop a really strong, stable business, sustainable business. And it's knowing what you do really, really well, and just doing more of that. Now, that's not to say don't branch out, for example, into property development. But if you do, do it in such a way that it's planned growth, it's sustainable growth. Because what that allows us to do, and going back to our conversation initially, before we came online, we had a chat about hiring school leavers, apprentices. There is enough work. There's enough apprentices out there. We need to engage better with them. We need to have that engagement, because that allows us to sustain the growth, because we go out, we meet them, whether it's in schools or at career fairs, actually play an active part within our community, go out there, engage, because you'll start to create that loyalty literally from the word go, and it's the only way we're going to change the way that we do business. And we can't stop failure. It's part of business, but what we can do is plan it better, get involved in our community more. And the default of that, I know we talked about this offline again, the default of that is you're going to make more money by engaging with your community, by being known within the community. You will by default, be a more profitable, sustainable, planned growth business. Again, I don't know if I answered the question.
No, I think so. To wrap up, if someone had come to you as watched this and said, do you know what, I'm inspired, I want to make a start on this, what would you say are the first couple of considerations or the first couple of steps that everybody should take to move forward with this?
Take a step back. So the first step forward is actually to take a step back. So if I was sitting in my office now and I was listening, I'd listen to this, I would be thinking, okay, what is it I really do well? Or the easiest way is, what's going wrong? What problems do I face? Because I'll almost guarantee you it's the same problems over and over again, and that's insanity, as Albert Einstein says. Doing the same things over and over and over again and expecting a different result. Honestly, it is a very simple, sit back. And we always ask, and we teach, to ask yourself 3 key questions. What is it I do really well? What is it that's not going so well? And what can I do better? And we call it self-reflection, again, woo-woo. It adds so much value, because what it does is it opens your mind up to possibilities. Because the minute you say, I can't change, it's the way the business is, it's the way the industry is, it's the way we hire, so on and so forth, that's closed-minded. And I know nothing good happens in closed-mindedness. So for me, it's about opening up, thinking, every single challenge is an opportunity. That's it. If you have a challenge or something that's not going well, it's an opportunity to learn, grow, or win. I think that's it. Step back. The first step forward is to actually step back.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for your time, James. It's been absolutely brilliant to speak to you, and hopefully people have got some really valuable things from this. Thanks ever so much.
My pleasure. And anytime at all you want me to come back on, just give me a call.
Brilliant. Thank you.